Alright, so most people spend about 8 hours a day sitting down. So whether that's driving a car, sitting at a desk here, or just sitting on a couch, whichever it is, they spend about 8 hours a day doing that. So that's their kind of resting position. So for thousands and thousands of years, we never really had a resting position in that midline position. We're always sitting in the bottom of a squat. That was our natural resting position. So to be able to undo that kind of time that we spend at a desk, we really need to be sitting in the bottom of a squat to be able to stretch out all those muscles. Because if we're sitting in that midline position, then we get fixed in that position and our body adapts to that. So our body is going to adapt to any kind of stress that we put on it. So that can be good adaptation or bad adaptation. So in this case, it's sitting at a desk all day or driving a car all day. We're going to get tight through certain areas. So we just need to undo all that damage that we're doing just by sitting down all day. Alright, so now that we've gone through why we need to sit in the bottom of a squat, we're just going to show you how to do that first of all. So what we're doing is just starting with our feet nice and wide, toes pointed out, just sitting down as low as we can go. So to start off, a lot of people are going to be here. It just means that you're really tight through all your muscles, and just by sitting down in this position for as long as we can to start off with, we're going to be able to increase that mobility and stretch out through all the muscles. So what's going to happen is when we're in this position, we're stretching out through our calf muscles through here, we're stretching out through our quads, our hips, hamstrings, our glutes, and our spines getting into the right position. So eventually we should be able to spend up to 30 minutes a day in this position. You most likely won't be able to do that to start off with, however we can build up to that, and we can make it a lot easier over a period of time as well. So just sitting in the bottom here for as long as we can to start off with, and going from there. So the hard part is normally not sitting in the bottom, it's going to be getting out, so that's when you start to feel it afterwards. So just making sure that you're not going too long to start off with, just coming out, and then coming back in when we need to, back down here like this. So we're just going to go through the different variations of sitting in the bottom of a squat depending on what your weakness is. We're going to work on that to improve that. So just to start off with, we're just sitting in the bottom here like this, nice and relaxed. So if your knees aren't going wide enough, we're going to do a couple of exercises to be able to push that out. So what happens is, if you're doing like a squatting movement and your knees come in, that means that you can't push your knees out enough. So that's externally rotating them. So what we're going to do is we're just going to move your knees out in that bottom position to be able to increase that mobility and get increased results from the work that you're already doing. So you're just going to sit in the bottom here like this. So the first one is we're going to do the prayer exercise. So we're just going to bring our hands into the prayer position here like this. At the same time, we're using our elbows to push our knees nice and wide here like this, and just holding that position to start off with. So you should feel that nice and tight through your glutes because it's going to be stretching out through there. So that's kind of the weak link in the chain if you've got that as well. From here, we're going to go a little bit of side-to-side work, bringing it in as close as possible, trying to get our knees as wide as possible. So to start off with, you might only be here, but over a period of time, we want to be able to get your knees out as wide as possible here like this. So after that, what we're going to do is just start working on one side at a time. So we're going to use our hand here like this, putting it on our knee, and pushing out as wide as possible here like this. So again, to start off with, you might only have small movements here like this, but eventually you want to be able to get to a point where you can fully extend your arm right out like that. Just making sure we're using our hand here like this as well, so not using our elbow, using your hand on the knee. So we're going to do 10 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you need to come out of that because you're too tight, coming out, coming back in to do the other side. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Again, back into the middle here, pushing out those knees, then coming out. So coming out again at the top here, back in. So we're going to do the same again, just to open up those hips a little bit more. This time we're going to hold it out, just pushing that out nice and wide. So we're just going to hold out for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Changing sides. And 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And coming out. So that's just if we've got our knees coming in. All right, so we're just going to be talking about the progression if you're ankle mobility isn't very good. So instead of just coming and sitting down here like this, what we're going to do is we're going to start bringing our knees further forward here like this. That's going to stretch out through our calves here like this even more. So we're just making sure that we're just leaning our weight forward. Just making sure that we're keeping our heels flat on the ground here. So we don't want to lean all the way forward, that we come up on our toes here like this. We want to come as far forward as possible while keeping our spine in that neutral position. So not just rounding over here like this. So we want to keep our spine in that neutral position, coming as far forward as possible, and then just holding in that position. So the next progression after that is going to be trying to get our head to the ground. So here, like this, coming all the way forward. Again, this is going to get through our glutes a little bit more as well. So eventually we want to be able to work out how far we can go down, and then slowly get further and further. So as well with that, we want to make sure that our hips try and stay as low as possible when we do that. We don't want them lifting right up, but you will have to start to move them just a little bit to start off with. But you'll get better over time coming out of that one.